Welcome to episode 407 of Control Talk Now, where we discuss all things HVAC and smart building controls, including sales and marketing. My name is Eric Stromquist, and this week we're going to do a deep dive into data. Everything from how data analytics has changed to the best tool for troubleshooting a BACnet network to how smart building controls professionals like you and me will be using AI to make data and data analytics one of the most useful and profitable services we can offer our customers. I had the perfect guest for this week. His name is Ping Yao, and he's from a company called Optigo Networks. Ping will be up a little bit later to chop this up with me. Well, before we get to Ping, I want to tell you about a new podcast I have created called Legacy Voices, Passing the Torch. I actually got the idea from some time ago from one of the greats in our industry, a guy named Paul Oswell, who I heard speak, and he said, tribal knowledge is leaving the building. And how one of the biggest challenges we face as an industry is how do we capture that knowledge and pass it on to the next generation? Paul's words have haunted me for years. And it gave me pause, and I began to think that we have so many great, successful leaders in our industry that are retiring, and I decided to create this podcast, and we'd focus on the lives and wisdom and knowledge that these individuals have learned throughout their journey, and that we could pass it on to the next generation of control pros. So I'm super excited and fortunate to have one of our industry greats, Pat Marcella from M&M Controls, who recently retired. He's agreed to be my first guest. And the first episode is going to drop later this week on control trends, but here's a sample.
You know, John Sedgwick and the loaf of bread.
Why do you call John the loaf of bread? I mean, he was great at explaining it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because of the way that he explained marketing was with a loaf of bread, and that some had some bread. They were all different prices, but it was all bread. You know, and how did it get to be more? How come you paid $3 for this bread that's in a not clear plastic bag, and this one doesn't have crust on the edge, and this one, has grain in it, and this one has, something else in it. So, that 59-cent loaf of bread is now a $3 loaf of bread. And why do people pay $3 for a 50-cent loaf of bread? It was very interesting. John Sedgwick was.
Well, hang on a second. Now you got me super curious, because John Sedgwick was brilliant, to your point. But
absolutely.
So why do people pay $3 for a 50-cent loaf of bread?
Because they think it's better. They think the grain and the whole wheat and the rye and the pumpernickel, they think it's better. It might not be. Then again, it doesn't really matter, because if you think it's better, it's better.
Yeah.
And you're going to pay more for it. And you're glad to pay more for it.
Wow. John Sedgwick, who Pat refers to, was one of the greats from Honeywell. And if anyone knows how to get hold of John, I want to have him on Legacy Voices. John told Pat about the loaf of bread got me thinking. As a teacher of mine used to say, when it comes to your customers, perception is reality, and you don't get a vote. So I take that, among other things, to mean it doesn't matter what you think about your product, your pricing, or your customer service. It only matters what your customers think. But how do you know what they really think? This is another aspect of data collecting that you got to get good data to make good decisions about your product offering. If you're a vendor, getting the right product price mix, as well as the right features, as well as who and how you market the product to determines to a huge degree how successful that product will be. So how do most companies do it today? Well, pretty much the way they always have: customer surveys, sales reps coming to customers, spending money on marketing research firms. How most of us done it in the past, but does it really work? Well, think about it. How do you really know what a customer is thinking? Who among us takes the time to put any thought into a customer survey? Maybe occasionally, but for the most part, not. Or when a rep sits down with you and you starts asking you questions, are you completely engaged in telling them what you really think? How many times do you ask a customer, they say, oh yeah, your product and price are perfect, don't change a thing. Or they say, change everything. For the most part, people tell vendors either what they think they want to hear because they don't want to upset them, or they just want to get on with their day and don't really have time to do much more with the survey. And I know that's what I did most of the time when a vendor came in asking those types of questions. Or they suggest changes, radical changes, but they don't take the time or disclose, well, if you make all those changes, how much more are you going to buy? So maybe you take that advice, make a bunch of changes, and your sales don't change. So getting good intel is tricky, kind of where a good distributor can help, but only if a distributor has multiple brands that compete with you. And here's why. Distributors should have good relationships with their customers, can go in and sit down with them and say, hey, as you know, we handle both brand A, B, and C, and they all do pretty much the same thing. So what is it about brand B that has you buy it all the time? They have no obligation or motivation other than just give you the straight skinny. Whereas when a manufacturer is asking that question, their answers might have other motivations. I remember years ago, CG&A, Controls Group North America, a group of the largest and most successful distributors on the planet, had a program in which one of their vendor members could come in and they could have a list of like 5 questions they really wanted to get the straight answer to about a product maybe they sold. They could give those questions to the distributor. Each distributor would go to 10 of their best customers that they could sit down with, they had a relationship with, and they would ask those 5 questions and they get straight answers. And I remember the results were astounding. One vendor who'd spent something like $100,000 with a market research firm was dumbfounded when they discovered that the actual decision maker for that product was not the one that the marketing research firm had identified, and that the main reason that the customers were buying the product was not the one that the market research firm came up with either. So think about it. Garbage in, garbage out. It's critical that you get good data. So make sure you're getting good intel. But how do you do that? I'm not sure in today's market, but maybe connect with Sarah Montalone, see if her and her team at CG&A can help you with that. But before I get to paying, a quick word from this week's sponsor. LinkSpring, embracing open software and hardware platforms. LinkSpring develops, manufactures, distributes, and supports edge to enterprise solutions and IP technology that creates smarter buildings, smarter equipment, and smarter applications. The company's Genesis Edge programmable IP controllers for buildings, equipment, unitary, plant, VAV, and more is the industry's first hardware portfolio that ported the Niagara framework onto hardware other than a Jace. Each includes a full Niagara stack, built-in expandable I/O, and multiple licensing options. When combined, Genesis Edge devices enables for a Niagara IP horizontal topology and architecture. For more information about LinkSpring, go to www.linkspring.com. Thanks to LinkSpring for supporting the show. And if you'd like to be seen and heard by the global control trends community, click on the link in the show notes and find out how to be a sponsor of Control Talk now. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce Ping Yao from Optigo Networks. Oh, man, I'm so excited with my guest this week, an old friend I haven't seen in a while, Ping Yao, the CTO and co-founder of Optigo Networks. And first of all, welcome, Ping. It's great to see you.
Thank you, Eric. Great to see you again.
Well, it looks like we got a little title change here. Tell me about that.
Yeah, Eric, like as you said, we've known each other a long time. I've known a lot of people in this industry a long time, and I've got that question. It's very simple. I mean, the company had grown to a point where we needed someone that is the next CEO for the company. So a couple of years ago, we brought on a COO by the name of Joel Schuster. And Joel and I worked great together for a couple of years. The company had grown a lot. We built a sales team. We built more development staff. We added a customer success team and all this stuff. And got to a point where I realized that I wanted to focus on the technology customers. Joel was really good at managing all the moving parts, the legal side, the operation, all these things. And so it just made sense. So Joel took on the role of CEO. And I moved over to the role of CTO to focus, as I said, on what a product does, how our customers use it, and how we can impact the industry. It's that simple. So that title change happened January 1st.
It makes a lot of sense, man. Apple Computer didn't really get going until Steve Jobs, who reminds me a little bit of you, kind of the creator and innovator, brought somebody else in to sort of run the day-to-day operations and make sure all the wheels didn't fall off the bus while you were driving warp speed down the road.
That's right. I'd be pretty good path to follow if I could do the same. Thank you.
Yeah. Just don't eat so many apples, though, man. We can't have you getting sick like he did. So,
No. We don't want that.
No, we don't want that. Well, listen, for our audience who might not know, tell them about what Optigo Networks does.
Yeah, Optigo Networks, as I mentioned, we've been in business for about 11 years. When we started the business, the three of us, we had a very simple vision. We wanted to create and deliver a full stack networking solution for this industry. And let me define this industry. We started with the smart building industry. We're moving into what general operational technologies that might include light industrial, even in smart cities in the future. But we realized that the networking fabric that's required for operational technology is slightly different than the requirements around IT. So at Optigo, we deliver what we call a 3-layer networking solution. The physical side, the switches and routers to connect the actual controllers and VAVs and computers and Wi-Fi access points for this industry. The second is the software to manage the network. Okay, I want to segregate this, I want to segregate that, I want to manage my IP addresses, all these things. And the last layer is what we call network monitoring. How do we know that the data that's carried over this network works and gets there properly? So that's what we do in short. We've been, again, moving towards this full stack vision for a few years. And in the end, we delivered that in the form of 2 products. One is Optigo Connect, which we've been delivering to this industry through distributors and system integrators for a few years. And a product by the name of Visual BACnet for, I think we're going on 7 years this year, anniversary of Visual BACnet.
Well, Visual BACnet, I remember that from, a couple of years back, last time we spoke. That's such a cool product because, troubleshooting any network, but especially a BACnet network can be kind of tricky. Talk about how that works a little bit, Ping.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Eric. It's funny you bring that up because we always had the vision of how do we use the data inside the network to help our customers get more out of their system. It wasn't until we were talking to a few people in the industry and seeing them pull up their laptop, what we call Wireshark, which is a tool that the IT industry brought on late 80s, 1980s, that we realized, holy crap, that data and the networking aspect of this industry is like reading Chinese. It's very, very complex. So what Visual BACnet does is we basically we're a Wireshark on steroid. We help you make sense of all the information that's carried over the network. We look at the actual packets. We dissect the packet one after the other one, and we line up, packet A and packet B, and is lined up correctly. Are there any conflicts? Are there any delays? Are there any bottlenecks? And our users can use our software to help them clean up their system, improve the performance, find who's the culprit, are there changes over time, all these things. Yeah.
No, it's cool and it's very visual. It's so, it's very intuitive when you look at it. And I think anybody that's ever had to troubleshoot a BACnet network would really appreciate this, right?
Yeah. Again, the best feedback we can get when we talk to a new user is, where have you been?
Yeah.
If I found this in this job or that job, I could have saved a weekend of my life. I could have saved a month of my project. Exactly like you said, we help people make sense of the data. We try to make it in a visual way. There's always better ways to do things. But I think we're that first tool for this very, very important side to the business.
Yeah, I think you're definitely we'll just call you the iPhone of the industry, right? To use a metaphor, so to speak. I mean, to me, it's that revolutionary, the way you guys do things. It's literally like comparing an old flip phone back in the day to an iPhone. It's really, really cool stuff. And I guess, Ping, one of the trends that we've seen and been tracking for a long time is data and data analytics. And, boy, that's even changed a lot. What new trends are you seeing in data and data analytics?
Well, I think data and data analytics has moved from a trend to reality. That's really good. We're seeing businesses truly use analytics for many purposes, whether it's energy improvement or tenant comfort, or even just simple billing. But as you said, to be able to do these analytics, you have to have the underlying data. And unfortunately, these systems, BACnet systems being one of them, could have been built without the mindset that the data in this this system needs to be extracted at a very high rate. A lot of data needs to be pulled out. Maybe the system was really just designed for command and control. I want to turn on something, I want to turn off something, once every few minutes. And now, a smart kid comes along and is like, I'm going to pull this temperature every 5 seconds. Can I do that? Well, I can do it in one room. What if I do it in 10 rooms? What if in 1,000 rooms? And now it falls apart. So I think to answer your question, Eric, is we're seeing, first of all, it's going from a desire to reality, which means now more and more data is coming along, which also means that now the importance of this data is now become reality. It's hit the business operational side, where CFOs and COOs are expecting this information to help them run their business, and then it falls on their face. So we are benefiting from this trend, where people are realizing that they need this data, but the data doesn't work because the network is flaky, the network has performance problems, it has stability issues, and so they use product like ours to help them clean up this underlying system to provide that data they need.
Yeah, it's a little bit back in the day when people were mining for gold, right? I mean, it's like, to your point, I think when BACnet, when some of these protocols were first developed, nobody was thinking about extracting data. So it's not only like you guys know how to get the data out, but you also know how to put gold in the data, right? So that, it helps on multiple ends. And, I really concur. I think that data analytics is so important on multiple levels. One of them being that so many companies now, their social responsibility and being able to prove that they're being socially responsible, say vis-a-vis sustainability, to have these data points where they can show how they're helping decrease the carbon footprint is critical to any major company or any company's brand, right?
Yeah. I've said it before that I think the Smart Building Initiative has moved from how do I save money on energy to one of the aspect of it is just social responsibility, like you said, Eric. We at home are able to ask a smart speaker to turn on our lights, yet we walk into our industry and there's that light switch on the wall. We are able to tune the temperature in our rooms at home to the perfect level, yet we walk into a shopping center, it's too hot, it's too cold, whatever it is. So there's a social expectation now that these systems work better. And that's contributing to the continued growth in this industry, because it's not just having to prove that I can save you a cent on energy, but being able to prove that I'm consuming the energy responsibly. I'm providing an amenity to the level and expectation that people have. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, but I remember before COVID, pre-COVID, paying the clients I would talk to, you're right. They were interested in saving energy and let's do it as inexpensively as possible.
Yeah.
And then I think when COVID hit, everybody went home and got used to working from home. So now these, real estate owners are going, well, how do I get my people to come back into the building? And I think data holds a key to that, right? I mean, so, now they're more concerned with let's make the space where people want to come to work. And one of the big things that's really come out recently, I read a statistic the other day, Ping, that, I think it's 85% of people get sick at work or school, right? I mean, yeah. So if you can extract data through a process like yours about, ventilation being properly done, so people know, hey, if you come to our work, you're 10 times less likely to get sick than if you go to somebody else's office. That's going to be a huge selling point, right?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Again, I think the real estate industry had been dreaming of these applications, and now it's a necessity. Right?
Yeah,
it's no longer just providing someone a desk and lights and air, but it's to provide these amenities that they can't get at home, or is at least as good as home, and creating an environment that they want to be part of and collaborate with others, and being part of an environment away from home with their colleagues, with their friends, with their collaborators and everything.
Yeah, I think if I was going to be marketing for a building today, I'd hook up with people like you and get really good ventilation in what would be called the safe place. You're worried about the next pandemic. No worries. Come to our building. We've got the best air filtration and best snacks anywhere in the world, right? So
that's right. And I think the other thing is that now not only saying it is not enough. You have to show it.
Well said. And that's where the data comes in.
That's right. That's right. I mean, being able to walk into a building, we see it rarely, but once in a while you walk in and there's this, wall of data that shows this building is more efficient than others. The air quality is this level. And the fact that this is real dynamic data, it just makes you feel good at being part of that, as opposed to having a poster that says that we are LEED Platinum. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. We put a system in a big building in Atlanta years ago through one of our contractors, and one of the big things we had was a big dashboard right in the lobby. The client asked for this right in the lobby, right? So you walk in and you saw how much energy was being saved and so on and so forth. I cannot think of a better advertisement. I mean, if I was, selling commercial real estate space, that's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah. And I would say on that note, this is our opportunity in this industry is that, again, we have the ears of the CFOs and the COOs and the CIOs of these building operators. It's our chance to showcase the data, the systems that we've been operating. And again, I haven't been part of this industry I've been part of the industry for 11 years, but some of us have been in the industry for decades. This is our chance to shine. Provide them this information. Show them that, kids are talking about IoT systems with 1,000 devices. Well, yeah, my campus has a 30,000 connected devices, and that's been true since the 90s. We are pulling more data than an iPhone. It's pretty cool.
Well, we're the only industry that's really making things more sustainable, right? I mean, if you want to save the planet, you need to be in our industry.
We're where the rubber hits the road, right? I think to come back to
best kept secret.
Yeah, what you were saying earlier, how energy sustainability, ESG, right? Whatever the new term is of the day, it's a very real thing. A lot of these corporations and institutions have these very important initiatives, but when they come up with these programs and goals, when they actually put it to implementation, it comes in this industry. Okay, we need to change the set point. We need to change the amount of outside air. We need to change the way it behaves. When these people are dreaming up how something works, we are the one making it work, and it's on us to make it work. And again, the data is super important to them, but it's also our chance to show them we're able to give them this.
Right. Well said. Well, Ping, let me ask you a question. I understand, and since data is your business, among other things, that not all data is created equal. Talk to me, if you will, about the importance of getting good data.
So in data science, there's one aspect called data engineering. Data engineering is the person who's just cleaning up the data, who's normalizing the data so that the person who's analyzing the information, the data, can do the job that they want. Data engineering is so important to know that the data you're reading is true and accurate, right? So if I'm reading what I think is the temperature in this lab, but I'm actually reading temperature from a different room, the person who's analyzing the data, how can they know, right? If I'm expecting data continuously, but I have drops along the way, I lose 1 point every 10. It works sometimes. I'm not Saturday morning because it doesn't work. We've kind of come to live with mediocrity. That's not okay. So I think coming back to let's clean up the infrastructure. Let's make sure that the roads, the highway, the network that the data is riding on so that it can get every point from the right place and gets there on time is super important, because if we're not doing that, the decisions we're making out of this information is incorrect.
And making it on bad data. So in essence, you guys, your product is kind of like the superhighway, right?
Yeah, I mean, we like to call it kind of the Waze or the Google Maps of the highway of network, right? And we often help people understand that network's been built for a long time and data on it has always been in existence. But it's like this highway had never had streetlights. You never had an understanding of the traffic. And now you have
a one-lane road.
Exactly. So building that 1-lane road into a 3-lane road without managing and understanding where the traffic goes might not solve your problem. We like to believe that we are kind of the police of the highway. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense too, because again, you get more lanes in the road, but people don't know how to drive better. You're not policing the highway. You just have more accidents, right? Because more people are out running around.
Very true. It's very true. Yes.
Well, Ping, how are you seeing AI? Is that affecting what you're doing at all?
Oh yeah, very much. Everyone's using some form of AI, whether you know it or not. That's true. I think the interesting aspect of AI is that we have so much data now that we have to understand how AI may amplify biasing. So if you've made wrong decision with the data, AI might make those wrong decisions even more often because you're guiding an AI engine to make decisions. If the data is marked as, again, let's use that example, this information is coming from lab A, right? But truly it's not. AI cannot determine that it's not from the right place, and it's going to amplify, it's going to bias these decisions even more, right? Unrelated to our industry, but like, for example, AI in HR or in hiring is kind of a taboo subject right now because it amplifies our bias. AI, right? It just makes decisions faster. So I think that's an interesting trend. No,
I would think so. And again, I think it really emphasizes the importance of having good data, right? Because and I think more and more of us are going to rely on AI to analyze reams and reams of data to make conclusions. But if the data is not right, the AI is only going to be as good as the data you put into it, right?
That's exactly correct. Yes. It can do some extrapolation. It can look outside of it, but again, you do need good data for it to train on. Yeah, it's a really neat
very cool. What can we expect from Optigo in the next several years?
Great question, Eric. Thank you. Quick sneak peek. We are working on a new product. It is set to launch later this summer. It is called Optigo VN for Visual Networks. So we're using the name of Visual BACnet that we've built and branded for the last 7 years, and we're going to build on top of it. I think you can kind of read between the lines. We're going to go beyond BACnet. One of the very, very important aspects is just taking the learning that we had in the last many years, and how do we build a product that is easier to use with better insights. And the easier to use, the biggest thing is we've been very good at pointing out what you're doing wrong. What we haven't been very good at pointing out is how should you fix that? How should you do things differently? And so Optigo VN later this year is moving towards how do we help you understand what to do? Not just what you're doing wrong, but using this information to decide what to do with it. And of course, coming back to confirming it.
Are you going to be in any shows here in the next year or so?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'll be going personally to Controltalk.
I'll be there. I'll see you there.
Good, excellent. Yeah, looking forward to that. Again, it's really fun to go back out there. I mean, I know you and I were both at HR. We didn't get the chance to run into each other.
Right.
It was so fun to be there and see so many people.
Yeah.
It's definitely back in full swing. We'll be at RealCom. I don't know if I personally will be there, but we'll be at RealCom for sure. And now with my new role and new title, I'm able to focus on what I think I'm good and what I like. So you'll probably see more of me, not less.
That's great. That's great. Well, I sure hope so. Well, Ping, for our listeners out there who want to find out more about Optigo Networks, but best website is, would you send them to a website or the local distributor or both?
Both. Again, if you want to learn more, come to optigo.net. By the way, if you do go to optigo.net, on the bottom right-hand side, you'll see a little yellow icon for chat. A chat does not go to any AI. It actually comes to us as people.
A real person, okay.
A real person. If you want to go on it and say, hi, Ping, I will answer. Probably not this week. I'm on vacation, but we will answer. Other than that, if you are working with local distributors, we are working with most distributors in US and Canada already. A lot of the system integrators. So if you're an end customer here, end building user, building operator, ask your system integrator about us. We probably are working with them already. But yeah, if you want to learn more, just come to optigo.net, say hi on the little yellow chat box, and we'll help you. Yeah.
My good friend, thank you so much for taking time on your vacation to talk to our community. Really, really appreciate it, Ping. Thanks so much.
Thank you for doing this for the community. Thank you for having me. It's been really great to see you, but we'll see you in a couple months.
And I'll see you in Detroit. Well, there you go. That's another week on Control Talk Now, your smart buildings videocast and podcast. Be sure to look for the first episode of Legacy Voices to drop this week. If you haven't already subscribed to the YouTube channel, you might want to do that. That's the first place you're going to get it. Special thanks to Ping Yao. If you want to be a sponsor of this show, please reach out. Click the link. We have some control spots left. The website's about 6 weeks. The redesigned website is about 6 weeks out. It's going to be great. There's going to be plenty of advertising opportunities there as well. So stay tuned, and thanks for tuning in. Remember, be bold, stay in control, stay relevant, get good data, and as Hunter Thompson used to say, buy the ticket, take the ride.
I know exactly what to do to blow my mind. You're from another planet. I've never felt like this. I don't know how I ever survived without it. I'm starry-eyed. Got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste the clouds, dance with the moon. Take a trip around your body. Boy, I love the way you got me. Starry-eyed, got me starry-eyed. This bed is out of space, just keep painting constellations.